People, we're back in Portsmouth, and this week we've got Clarke Reynolds, a blind Braille artist.
Mr. Dot is my name. I have a white cane. It's magic and helps me to see. I tap through the day to find my own way, which means that I can be free. I love being blind, I love who I am, and Mr. Dot is about the joyfulness of being blind. Why can't Braille be an art form? Just like a typographer uses a letter, I can use a Braille dot. And literally I've been pushing the boundaries and literally changing how we see Braille through artwork for 5 years. I'm a pop artist, I'm a pop Braille artist. Yes, if you told me 10 years ago, when I had that thing in the hospital saying, oh, you're going blind, you have to give up everything. If you told me I would be an author, if you told me I would be inspiring VI children to become creatives, I would never have believed you. But unfortunately, society knocks us back. What I do is a hobby because I'm a blind person. What I do can't be a profession. I'm not disabled, society is disabled towards me.
Well, welcome to the What's Going On show, man.
What is going on? That's what the chaos that is in my art studio.
yeah, right. So welcome to the What's Going On show where we shine a lot of people doing things in communities, and obviously you yourself, you're doing something inspirational and quite frankly amazing, I think. But we'll get into that. So a little tradition I got on the show is, instead of me giving you an introduction, I like to just throw it straight over to you. So in a nutshell, who is Clarke Reynolds?
Well, Clarke Reynolds is the inspirational blind Braille artist, now known as Mr. Dot. And I might as well sum it up in a little poem for you, really. Mr. Dot is my name. I have a white cane. It's magic and helps me to see. I tap through the day to find my own way, which means that I can be free.
Wow, amazing. Wow, did you write that?
So that's part of the new book, really, but it kind of sums me up as kind of like who I am as a character. You know, I love being blind, I love who I am, and Mr. Dot is about the joyfulness of being blind, you know. Obviously, everyone has their daily struggles, but for me, it's just I just get on with it, because I love it. I love who I am.
Yeah, special. So, okay then, cool. So, let's take us back then. So, where did you grow up?
I grew up not far from where my studio is, to be fair. I grew up in Winston Churchill Avenue in a tower block called Limpton House, which is a pile of rubble now. Thank God for that. And it was tough, you know, especially, you know, back in the 80s. I'm an 80s child. You know, we talk about cost of living these days. I mean, we grew up on what's known as Teddy Bear's breakfast, which was hot milk and bread and sugar, because it filled your belly. It was that kind of... Well, I grew up, you know, having nothing. If we did have anything, it was sold later down the line because of we needed the money. But I was fortunate enough, the route that I had to go to get to my school, I passed two influential buildings that changed my life. One was the Eldon Building, which used to be the Arts University for Portsmouth, and the other was Aspex in Borough Road. And those two buildings, it was like, right, I'm going to be an artist. I knew instantly going into that aspects as a 6-year-old I was going to be an artist, and I never looked back, really.
So, back when you were 6, becoming an artist. So, when you was in school, I think it's a bit of a mad question. Have you always been blind then? Or?
Yeah, so it was really stressful. You know, I remember losing my sight in my right eye from the age of 4 to 6. I remember like it was yesterday. I know my doctor's name, Dr. Tudor. Went to QA hospital every 4 weeks. And they put a patch in your eyes, you look like a pirate, and we had these kind of stickers. It's really weird. I know it sounds bizarre, but they had these stickers that you stick over where the pupil is. I know, and I had literally, I remember, obviously in a dockyard now, I had anchors and pirate ships, and it was bizarre. And there was nothing they could do. But back in the school, like, you know, I was blurry in both eyes because they put the drops in the good eye, they bandage up the bad eye, so you're kind of blurry, it was all bizarre. But, you know, back in the 80s, we didn't really talk about sight loss. Sight loss wasn't like, oh my God, I'm blind. Yeah. But like I said, Cottage Grove took me to Aspex, and going into that building, I don't know where, it was like, my God, this is amazing. This changed my life, you know. It's like art just opened up like this imagination. And I think because a sketch book can't be sold, your ideas can't be sold, it just saved me from what was a horrible time in my life, really.
Fair enough. So art then. So you're 6 years old, you start on your art journey, and you say that it really freed you. I hear that. Would you say that was down to the people who actually introduced it to you, or would you say that you would have found out anyway?
I think it was the people that introduced me. If I never went into Aspex, I'd probably be dead. And that sounds straight up. I would not be alive today. I would have gone a different path, like the path that social standards would have set for me growing up in that place. And unfortunately, my brother took the different path. There was only 2 years between us, and he was in and out of jail, substance abuse, alcohol, and unfortunately, he passed away at the age of 35, homeless in the street corner of Newquay. That could have been me. It really could have been me. So I'm really fortunate that my school did take me to Aspex, and Aspex has played a really big part of my life. When we talk about later, having first exhibition, contemporary exhibition at Aspex, and now I'm a trustee at Aspex. So I've come full circle, really.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, and yes, what was that journey like then on the road to doing your first exhibition?
Oh, as any child, if you're drawing, back in the 80s, I think it was a lot of comic book strips. I created a character called Vinny the Venus Flytrap. I loved the idea of doing comic books and cartography. I love drawing maps, magical maps, pirate ship maps, real life maps. I just love the idea of creating stories within shapes. And that's never gone away. It's storytelling in the art form. It's never gone away. Now, what the art I do now.
Yeah. Okay, then. So that whole art form, I mean, the art form you've got now is kind of, you can tell that it's you. You can tell it's the Mr. Dot Peaks. But how did you start out? I mean, you said that you did map cutting and stuff, but when did you find your style?
So, I mean, it's really hard, any artist will tell you, to that light bulb moment. Unfortunately, again, bad luck on my part maybe, but I left school at the age of 14. I had bad kidneys, so I was ill for about 3 years. Got back into education at the age of 18. Did a GMVQ, art design. Did the diploma. Did a first year fine art at Portsmouth University. Now, I never thought I'd go to university because obviously the way my upbringing and stuff, but I loved it. But the thing was, being ill, I was very savvy. It was like, I know art is a very hard subject to get jobs out of, and I never saw my tutors in a fine art degree. You get a topic, and you never saw your tutors for 12 weeks, to be fair. And someone said to me, you could do a degree in model making. And I said, oh, that's really interesting, because I love my movies. Movies is like my passion as well. And I thought, oh, I could maybe become a production designer, use the crazy stuff, and then get a skill base behind me. So I changed my degree, and I went up to Kent, and I got a degree in model making. And, the idea of touching things again, I think in the subconscious, in the back of my mind, there's someone who's visually impaired who didn't know it, if that makes sense. I just loved the idea of touching. And so I got my degree in 2006. And it took me 10 years to get a job because we had a financial crisis. And it was ironic, you get a degree, there was jobs out there, but they said that you need experience to get the job. So it was catch-22. It's like, how am I supposed to get experience if you don't give me the job? So I stacked shelves for 10 years, as you do. And then finally I get a job as a dental model maker. When you're growing up and you have these, what do you want to be when you're older? You go, oh, I'm going to be a fireman, I'm going to be a spaceman. You don't turn around and say, you know what? I'm going to be a dental model maker, right? It's not one of those careers you think, you know what, I'm going to be a dental model maker. But it was great. I loved it. I loved the team. It didn't feel like a job. I was learning. And then, like, a year into the job, I wore glasses at the time, and I noticed a dark shadow in my left eye. And I thought, hang on a minute, I needed stronger glasses, maybe. The room was getting a lot darker, and I was catching myself on the machinery the way I used to sand down the models, and I was catching the tips of my fingers. It weren't nice, So I went to the opticians, and the optician said, do you... I said, look, something on my eyes, and they said, hang on a minute, we send you to an independent. So I went to an independent, had some scans, he sent me to the hospital, and had 4 ophthalmologists look at my eyes, look up, down, left, right, all that stuff. They sat me down, and they said, Mr. Reynolds, do you drive? And I said, yes. And they said, hand your licence over, you're going blind. And that's how you're told as an adult. It's literally ripping the Band-Aid off. There was no support for what we call as working class adults, if it makes sense. I think there was an 18-month waiting list for mental health support. And you'd think, as a creative, as a visual person, I could have gone down that rabbit hole. I could have been the worst thing to happen to me. But at that time, we were made homeless, no fault eviction, My daughter was diagnosed with cerebral palsy. So my life couldn't get much worse, really. So I moved into my mum's. And first thing I did was, I knew no blind people, right? I joined a blind team, a sports team. So I played professional cricket, VI cricket, for 4 years. I was opening batsman, and I won the T20 finals in 2019. And at that time, I was exploring my art. We're talking, go back to the art, because obviously, when you get a job, especially a lot of art, people, when you get a degree in art, you kind of fall out of the art. You still do drawings and stuff, but you have to live a life. And so the first thing I did was I googled disability arts, and also I reconnected with Aspex. Aspex were doing this program called Artist Mentorship, and it didn't click onto me that it was the same Aspects as a child, bizarrely enough. So because they'd moved buildings, they were in Gunwolf, so I reconnected with them, and then I was exploring how do you do art without sight. So I was exploring words, I was exploring touch, and I've always used dots in my artwork. I suppose I'm a big fan of pointillism because that's how I kind of see the world in my bad eye. And I had an exhibition. I did a community project that got onto the news. I've only thought 100 people take part. 1,000 people took part in this community project, and I created this tapestry that took me 700 hours to sew by hand. It was massive. It was like 16 meters long. And from that, I got my first exhibition, and I was exploring dots and that. And then at that time, my friend, who I played cricket with, gave me a Perkins typewriter. Now, I mean, these machines are amazing. They've not changed since the 1950s, and it's a machine that that produces Braille through manual. So you manually push in the keys. It's almost like an organ. And I learnt Braille in 3 weeks. All right, just because I saw it as a pattern, not as individual dots, not as letters. And I did a piece called My Rosetta Stone. So I did a piece using buttons. So the buttons were about 2 centimeters diameter. And I did the A to Z in Braille. And that was about 5 years ago. And I took it to someone who could read Braille. And they literally read it as A to Z. And that was a light bulb moment for me. That was the moment I knew I'd found my art form. Right? It was like, why can't Braille be an art form? Just like a typographer uses a letter, I can use a Braille dot. And literally, I've been pushing the boundaries and literally changing how we see Braille through artwork for 5 years.
Wow. What an inspirational journey, eh? So, okay, so just a few things on there. So, I didn't know. So you had a kid before you went like legally vinyl.
Yeah.
There's something like that. Okay. So how has it been? That's an interesting one for me. How has it been for a parent? How's it been as a parent?
It's really interesting because obviously she has a disability, but I never want her to think that she's different. So I'm not just a role model for her as a dad. I'm a role model for her to achieve her dreams, even though she's got limited abilities, if that makes sense. And what's really interesting is she knows I'm visually impaired, and about 4 years ago, we was out in a wheelchair, and I don't tell her things. And she'll say, "Daddy, watch out! There's a lamppost." She said that, and we have a great relationship now. Where I homeschool my daughter as well, so we have this great relationship where I don't see my daughter. I see her through our conversations and through our learning and through our engagement through the art and stuff. And people say to me also the idea of what do you miss as a blind person, I miss two things, all right? I miss reading a book. I think we take that for granted. I miss literally having a book in my hand, folding the pages and taking those words in and just reading it, not through Braille or anything, just reading it as you would, I miss that. But I will miss my daughter growing up. I will miss seeing her as a beautiful young woman. The last visual memory I have, what I can remember of her, is as a 6-year-old. She's now 10. So I don't see her. She'll always be my 6-year-old daughter. So in a way, she'd have that Peter Pan effect in my head. She'll always be my 6-year-old, which is quite beautiful in a way. But yeah, that kind of, but we're learning to have a different relationship throughout sight. We're learning to have a relationship where we engage through conversation and through our antics and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's going to be a beautiful story going forward.
Amazing. Because when I met you earlier on for the first time, in fact, honestly, the way you've been moving around, I would never have thought that you were blind. Like, genuinely, I was like, how? How do you do it?
So blindness is a spectrum. Many people think that blindness is like, oh, it's complete darkness, you know. Only 7% of blind people see complete nothing. 93% of blind people see. And we're all like a fingerprint. We're all unique. We all see differently. So today is a really gloomy day. I love it, right? Because it's flat light. My eyes it's about the cones and rods at the back of the eye. Light comes in, just like a camera, plays around with that. And so for me, it's quite a nice day. So when there's that kind of, especially winter sun, when that winter sun hits my eyes will go black. And literally, I just rely on my white cane training and rely on my, where I am, in that moment, and just go with it, And so I'm an artist that works with colour, I'm a visual artist, just happens to work with Braille. And people will say to me, oh, how can you see using the colours? And what's interesting is I only found that this out a month ago. I spoke to a brain surgeon from America. I was on this a keynote speaking conference, and he was speaking at the start, and he said there's a thing called self-brain surgery. And blind people, especially when you're younger, and you lose your sight, your brain will create new synapses, new neurons, and that's what I'm doing. I'm creating new neurons of how I see colours. Yeah. And also the beauty of what I'm doing as well, because I work with spray cans, and if you notice, my spray cans are named after cities around the world.
Okay,
right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually creating a new how I see colour through cities. So yellow is Barcelona, red is Liverpool, and blue is Basel. So we're seeing colours through cities. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. Oh, wow. Yeah, because that was always a burning question that I always had. So that's very interesting. I mean, since you've become blind, like, what differences have you, like, what isn't there? Like, what provisions don't,
So I'm looking at you. I know you're there. I don't see you. I have no idea what facial features or anything. What makes you you. I suppose I'm finding about you for our conversation, which is amazing, right? So I say to people, it's like looking underwater. Right? Every day, sometimes you see a bit of blur, a bit of sharpness, a bit of light, everything, it's like that. But as an artist term, I say you look like a Lowry painting. You look like someone in a Lowry, and people get that. You are just a shadow. I know what a person looks like. We don't see with our eyes, we see with our brain. So I know what a human looks like. You're just a shape. And if you look at my artwork, I literally bring it down to its basic shapes. It's never about the detail. But as the eye see it visually, you know what I'm doing. I don't see any of this. I only see a portion. But I read this, because it's Braille. And that's what makes my artwork so unique.
Yeah, so you can actually read it from, is it top down or left?
So just as you would, left to right, as you would writing normally, yeah.
Amazing. So, yeah, I'm really intrigued with this, because how long does a piece take you, and what was your first ever piece you completed in terms of this, apart from that one that you said that was the light?
Yeah, so, like any good artist, you have to do the sketching, the composition. So I'll composite in words, if that makes sense. So, I find an image, or if I'm a colour-coded Braille, I write it, and then I have to find out the size, and then I composite from that. So on the bigger pieces, for instance, this one here, it takes about 2 weeks to design, and then like anything, it's all about being prepared. Making sure my paint palette and my dots, so everything's all laid out. When I'm into the groove, order a book on, and I just do it, and I just get lost in the moment. So this, I don't take breaks. Bad, slap my wrist on that one. So if I was doing non-stop on this, I reckon it takes about on this one an hour a line. So there's roughly about maybe 60 lines on this, so about 60 hours. But obviously you take breaks, so about 100 hours, say.
Wow, okay. Okay, so cool. There's a lot of dots here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lead into the next part. So the name, the Mr. Dot name, where did that stem from?
It's stemmed from me going to school. So the last couple of years, me as like Clarke Reynolds, or the blind Braille artist, which I was called, I go to schools and I teach kids Braille through art. Like all children, not just for impaired children, all children. Because the idea is to kind of break down the stigma attached to sight loss. And then because kids don't have filters, so they ask questions, that adults don't ask. And so 20 years down the line, we're not having the same old question, oh, how do you see that? Oh, you don't look blind crossing the road. You know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff. And Mr. Dot, like anything in schools, they love characters. So the Mr. Dot character stemmed from that. And I've been living this kind of double life. Ironically, I'm named after Superman, so Mr. Dot is my super alter ego. which is great. So that's my superpower, bringing joy to the world through Mr. Dot. And with the book coming out this year, it's just an extension of Mr. Dot's ability to kind of make people, want to know about Braille, want to know about sight loss through Mr. Dot.
Amazing. So, what is the book about then? What are we expecting?
So Mr. Dot is a fantasy book. The idea is, well, especially when I visit visually impaired children, they're kind of like the stigma attached to the white cane. And I don't want that. I want them that white cane is not a disability tool. It's anything they want it to be. So Mr. Dot, the idea is we go back in time and we use the white cane to help us do what we need to do. So the first book is Dippy. He's lost a bone at the Natural History Museum. So we got a dot from my suit. We'll open a route to a place I have to go. And we go back in time and we have a journey with 3 dinosaurs and we find Dippy's new bone using my white cane. Yeah, it's exciting. I'm so excited. It's like, if you told me 10 years ago when I had that, that thing in the hospital saying, oh, you're going blind, you have to give up everything. If you told me I would be an author, if you told me I would be inspiring VI children to become creatives, I would have to, I would never have believed you. So there is one person, right, and the book is dedicated to this person.
Okay.
So at Victoria's Festival, I did a Braille trail about I think it's a year after COVID, right? First kind, so you literally go around the whole festival and there's Braille and it spells out a word. And you imagine, out of 50,000 people, I bump into this young girl, right? She's 5 years old. Her name is Etta, right? It's like a needle in a haystack story, basically. And I had a Braille suit on, and her dad said, "Oh, can my daughter touch your suit?" I goes, "Yeah, of course." So I knelt down and touched my suit, and she said, and he goes, "Etta, why do you want to touch the man's suit?" And she goes, "Because I'm blind, Daddy." Now, it's really weird. Blind adults do not associate themselves with blind children. There's not this buddy up mentoring system in this country, right? And it's strange. So it was like when I met her and we had an amazing conversation, and she's come to all my stuff. She even came to my exhibition in London. And it's like, when I'm doing things, it's like, what would Etta want? What does she want? You know what I mean? It's like, that's the generation. And from that, I'm the patron of a charity called Victor, which is visually impaired children and young adults charity. So I judged their Braille art competition. I just did it on Valentine's Day this year. I'm also the ambassador for Fight for Sight, who I ran the London Marathon for a couple of years ago. I know. I mean, that nearly did kill me, Mr. Dot. But yeah, again, it's like I'm at this age where I can make a difference, and I want to make a difference. So that's what inspires me. I'm 44. I wish I'd done this 20 years ago. But I've got another 40 years of bringing Mr. Dot to not just the UK, but to the world.
To the world. Loves that. Current day then. Well, Nat, take us back. So after you obviously got into art, you've done all your thing, you're an inspiration, you're a beacon of hope for all these people. Why children? I mean, you just said there, why children's books? But would you ever focus on making an adult book?
Well, the beauty of my children's book, right, it is for adults as well. Because usually when you get a Braille book for a child, it's usually just the white dots on a boring white page, right? There's no interaction. You usually just, go off and do it yourself. But my book is about for everyone. So I've designed it in a way that you have visual Braille as well as tactile Braille. And the idea is for the adult to learn Braille while the child is reading the book, or vice versa. So it really is going to be this integration, not segregation, which is exciting. Yeah.
Integration, not segregation. So just on that segregation then, what provision, like as a blind person, what provisions have you noticed aren't in place that people who are able-sighted, whatever, don't know about?
I suppose signage. You take it for granted. There's so much signage around that you use your eyes to see. And the simple thing is that Braille can be used as signage. You don't have to be a small dot. It's like use speed read, where you can speed touch. So, for instance, Braille toilet signs. Why is it not a law that every public toilet should have Braille on? And at a standard size, so we know when we put our hand out, we know instantly what gender toilet that is. It's not every blind person can access a disabled toilet. Sometimes you have to have that stupid key to open a door. And for me, it makes it. And if you treat it like typography, you make Braille universal for everyone, and that's the key for me. I don't want Braille. If Braille's universal for everyone, right, it would be like, oh look, it's not like there's no Braille. It's like it's part of our daily routine. It's like the cone on the crossing, right? That rotates, right? People, it's there for the blind people. It's like the tactile pavement slabs that allow us to know that there's crossing there, or allow us to know there's a crossing anywhere, right? It's designed in the 1950s for blind people. People forget that because it's always there, and that's what I want. I want Braille to be there, that people forget, oh, it's always been there.
What inspires your art then? I mean, because, yeah, what inspires your art? Because I've seen your pieces in the past, but, you know, when, for example, landscapes, but what inspires you?
I think, like any other artist, it's what's around us. You know, I mean, obviously, I did a piece controversially. I done Donald Trump in Braille. Right, it appeared on the news. I've had some bad emails over it. I suppose I must be doing a good thing as an artist, you know. And it's like the idea of taking things, and I have ability now to tell stories within the artwork. It's like that saying, "A painting tells 1,000 words." Right, mine literally does. So the Trump piece was that iconic image of just as he's got shot and he's got his fist up. So you know that photo. People see it's on the news and think. So my art piece is a 2-minute conversation between Donald Trump and the agents during the shooting. And that's what you're reading in Braille.
Wow, okay.
Yeah? And so it's kind of like, if Andy Warhol was alive today, me and him would be collaborating on Braille portraits. Yeah? Clever. So I just take that kind of, I'm a pop artist, I'm a pop Braille artist. You know, it's really, because our art is pigeonholed. You're, illustrator, you're a graphic artist, you're a street artist. You know, I'm a Braille pop artist, if you want to call me that.
Nice. I like that though, because it is that current feel. Is that the movement? You know, you are the beacon of this movement, and I love that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that then, with the Trump painting, did you do the painting or
no? So the idea, obviously, I use digital technology to help me produce the image. It's like, I suppose I use the techniques as a screen printer would, that kind of layers and stuff. So I got the image and I used my Procreate and I simplify it down to its basic shapes, because that's all I see. I don't see no detail. So literally I just use it as a basic shapes, and then I pixelate that image, and then I take the pixels out that I don't need, and that forms the Braille. So I'm doing a massive piece now, my biggest piece to date. And the same concept is like, when you'll see it, because the brain will fill in the gaps, because that's a magical thing that a brain does. So from a distance, this looks amazing. But as you get closer, it kind of like distorts, and it's almost like how I see the world. So this is a metaphor for how I see.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. Because when I did walk in and you say, can you see it? At first I couldn't. And now that I've actually looked at it for a while, I can. I can really see it. Yeah. It's amazing.
But you imagine when this is up properly outside and you're far away, it's that optical illusion. You'll see the image, which is Oasis in Braille, right? But as you get close to it, obviously the image is going to blur out like how I see. So to know the piece, you have to touch it. And, and obviously this one is the lyrics to the medley of Don't Look Back at Anger, Wonderwall, and Roll With It, because it's 25 years of that album. Yeah.
No, amazing. So reading it then, the access to actually learn in Braille, how could that be improved?
So I think Braille, like when I do workshops, especially with adults as well, they they go to me saying, "My God, I didn't realise it was this simple." I will again simplify it. I think it's overcomplicated. We're not reading I know I'm calling Mr. Dot, but we don't read individual dots. The blind person does not. If any blind person reads those dots individually, they're amazing, right? What we're reading is in negative space. That's how Braille works. So as you're putting your finger across it, it's such a size that as our fingers go across it, those dots almost like blend into one, and that forms a pattern. So as our fingers are reading it, we're reading negative spaces, and that forms a pattern. So when I blow up my Braille and I give it colour, it distinguishes, it has a pattern. So my colour-coded Braille, for instance, I'm teaching the visual community to read Braille through colour association. So the brain will start to pick out patterns, and before you know it, you're learning Braille without touching it. So there's so many layers to my work. It's not like, oh my God, I love this colour, I'm going to use this colour. I think about it. There's, I have the ability. I always say the Braille dot or the Braille cell is a vessel to host the English language. So I don't have to use a dot. I've used squares, I've used stars. I basically create Braille fonts to add another layer to the story I'm telling.
Interesting. So what other pieces have you done apart from this, the Donald Trump?
So I've been working for the year. I've been working Braille portraits. So I've done the King in Braille. Okay. I've done the Girl of Pearl Earring. I've done Stormzy. I've done Andy Murray. I've done Boy George. So they're kind of iconic images. I'm going to be working on a jar of Marmite next, called Love Dots, Hate Dots. So the idea is kind of like, again, the Andy Warhol printing-esque, just like, it's touchable prints. That's the kind of the way I'm looking at the artwork now. It's like, wait, I do it how a printmaker would, but it's got layers to it, and you can touch basically a visual image.
Nice. Burning question popped into my head. Are you into music?
I love all music, but I love my audio books as well. When I'm in my studio, I listen to my audio. I'm listening to the Mythos series by Stephen Fry about the Greek mythology. Oh, I mean, the best series of audiobooks ever. I mean, Stephen Fry is a genius. But yeah, I love my music. I listen to all music, all genres, classical right through to obviously Robbie Williams. I think the only really genre I don't like is probably country and western. To be fair, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, it's great lyrics probably, but I may do a Dolly Parton and obviously and do her lyrics in one of the images. But yeah, I'm not a fan of it. Doesn't. Yeah, and I don't like western movies. They're bizarre. I'm not a fan of western, like spaghetti westerns and things. I'm not. I just find it. Get off your horse, Yeah, not for me, mate. Not for me.
So what kind of movies are you into then?
Oh, I love my sci-fi. And it's interesting now because a lot of movies, especially sci-fi, are dark. So I love watching like the Star Wars ones and that. But I love watching audio description now. And Star Wars, especially on Disney, the Star Wars series like The Mandalorian and things like that, audio description is amazing. Really detailed. Yeah, and I love that idea that they're telling a story that I can't see. So I'm kind of like doing that through Braille with my artwork.
So, to someone who's blind and they're a young person or an older person, you yourself, what would you say to them what would you say to them? It's because, being down in the dumps, scared out of your head, it can be a lot. And I couldn't even, I can't conceptualise it, but I can only think about it. But you're on your feet, you're bouncing around, you're doing this, doing all the art. What would you say to them?
I mean, the young people are amazing. They've got so much energy. When I go to schools and there's kids saying what they want to be, one saying want to be a farmer and a pub landlord, and I thought, what a great job that is. They could be anything they want to be, and that's the truth. The only thing we can't do is drive, right? But unfortunately, society knocks us back. Society, what I do, and I get this a lot, what I do is a hobby. What I do is a hobby because I'm a blind person. I'm a person with a disability. What I do can't be a profession, right? And that you get that a lot. So the idea is those children, those dreams, whatever they want to be, they can be. I think society needs to change. I'm not disabled. Society is disabled towards me. That's a powerful phrase, isn't it? And it's true. Access to work. Access to work is supposed to be there to help me. I can't get access to work because access to work does not work around someone who doesn't live a 9 to 5. I don't live a 9 to 5. I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow. Someone can ring me up and say, can you do this? And that's the beauty of what I do as a job. I don't really call it as a job because I'm living the best life, I work hard. I work 70 hours a week, but I don't class it as a job because, a job is kind of like, oh God, I've got to get up. Oh my God, I've got to get up. I've got to do my dots. I've got to finish this piece. So my mind is already on the second piece because I'm like, oh, I've done this one. I want to go to the second one, And I say it's, and when I was an adult, losing my sight, let's say I joined a sports team, because I didn't know any blind people. I think, joining a group, it doesn't have to be art, it doesn't have to be sport, just finding what you love, right? And just go with it, It's our time now. If Christmas calls and has taught us anything is, blind person can we Strictly Come Dancing. I'm quite jealous because I did want to be the first blind person on Strictly. But my ambitions is I want to be on Graham Norton's show. I want to be on Graham Norton's show as Mr. Dot, talking about my art, talking about the book, talking about what I do. Why not?
Why not? I love that. So, just dialing back there. So you said that you was on a sports team and you won and it was cricket.
Yeah.
So how did that work? How did that play?
Did you know about blind cricket? No. So I didn't know about blind cricket. I knew about blind football and I knew a sport about goalball. Now, goalball is one of those sports that is really, literally Google it and I got too much of a pretty face. The idea is you're supposed to get your face out of the way, but the balls do hit your face.
Dude.
Oh my God. Any person can play it because you're all blindfolded. It's a crazy sport. But blind cricket, it's great because we played 30 overs, we played 20 overs. You're out there from when it's twilight It's a ball the size of a volleyball. It's got ball bearings in, and it's still overarm. So as a blind person, you're bowling, and as you're releasing the ball, you'll say down. You'll say we play a full-length cricket pitch, and they say play, and then the batter at the other end will then start to hear for the bounces. As soon as he says play, to know to time it. Yeah, and it's great, but it's interesting. So international blind cricket is played with the same size ball as a cricketer ball, but it's underarm, and the ball is thrown at you for like 90 miles an hour. It's lethal, but yeah, it was great. I loved it, and it was literally we went all around the country. Played up in Lancashire. Wolves was the T20 finals. I won it. It was brilliant. I got my trophy. And, yeah.
Wow. So and you did that how many years?
I did it for 4 years. Yeah, and I really kind of, like I say, met a lot of friends, and and I think that really helped me deal with the loneliness, I suppose. And the get up and give, attitude. And that helped me with right, I'm going to be the best artist I can. Everyone, and even my friends at cricket said, don't be silly, Clarke. Because obviously for them it's like, art, really, blind person. But now they're like, my God, Clarke, amazing. I say I run the London Marathon last year. I jumped out of a plane. I've skydived. I'd give anything a go once, but I don't think I'll bungee jump. That's too much for me.
That looks horrible, yeah. That's what about that. So running the London Marathon, did you have to train? I guess.
I did train. I trained for 5 miles an hour, if that makes sense. But I didn't train for the camber of the roads. I didn't train for the weather, because I never run in the rain. And I got blisters, and I actually got a tiny fracture in my hip. So 2 miles out, literally couldn't run anymore. So my guide runner literally carried me for 2 miles across that finish line. And the medal has a Braille on it that says "We Run Together" on the medal. Isn't that beautiful?
That is beautiful. Oh, that's good. And who did you run for, sorry?
I ran for Vision Foundation, which are now called Fight for Sight. And they're great. And now I'm an ambassador for that charity. And did you know, so one of the patrons of their charity is Michael Owen. So Michael Owen's son has got this status.
What's that?
It's another eyesight condition where the eyes can't adjust, so they will flicker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so so you stopped the cricket.
Well, I got too busy with the art, mate. He even said to me, Clarke, come back. I was called the Energizer Bunny because I didn't want to stop running. Like I do with the stop the art. It's like, I think I'm a bit, like I say, I don't think I'll be able to keep doing it. But I love it. You gotta juggle up things. I couldn't do this and do the art at the same time, so one had to go. Yeah.
I know. Okay. Did you do any exercise now?
Well, I'm always on my feet.
Oh, okay.
I literally do my 1,000 steps a day easy. Or I'm up and down. I walk most places I can. So I want to do a tandem. I really would like to do a tandem cycle ride, like Brighton to London kind of thing, to raise money. I think that would be. But again, it's one of those things like you can't like go and hire a tandem out tomorrow kind of thing, and then you have to find someone crazy enough to like, oh my God, I've got a blind person on the back. You know what I mean? You have to have confidence in the rider in front of you. So. But yeah, one day I do the tandem. Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
Mr. Dot, I'd like to do a tandem ride across the country where Mr. Dot goes to schools on a tandem and brings joy to the world through the book and through the Braille. That would be a great adventure. Mr. Dot on a tandem.
That would be a great book.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay, cool. So I guess we're coming to a lovely close on this part. So that's where you are today, and you're a popular culture artist and all the above. Do you plan ahead? That's the question I want.
As artists you do.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to. Sighted, non-sighted artists, you have to have plates spinning. There's things in the works that I say I'm launching Mr. Dot Day on my birthday, March the 7th, which is a weird. It's you have different days with different conditions like glaucoma, pigmentosa. So Mr. Dot Day is the love of being blind day. The love of just embracing it. And that's what Mr. Dot does. So. It's going to be a soft launch this year, but obviously with the book coming out this year, next year, the idea is I want schools to dress up in black and yellow, be seen, raise money for charities, and let it just grow. Why not? Yeah.
So life as an artist, how has life as an artist been?
It's hard.
Yeah.
There's struggles. You have, like any other artist, you have your ups and downs, but you've got to persevere. I've never given up that dream. And and I say, you know, I want to be more than the artist, which I think I am. I'm like keynote speaker now. I'm an advocate for the visually impaired. I'm now an author. So I'm more than the artist. And, you know, I don't want to have exhibitions. I want to work with brands. You know, I want to work with the Apples of this world, you know, the Googles of this world. And, you know, why can't I Braille a Formula One car? How cool would that be? And then we auction it off for charity. You know, I want to do things like that.
No, I get it. I do get it. Well, no, exciting times, Clarke. Really exciting times. And yeah, it's been a breath of fresh air actually talking to you today. It's been amazing. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you so much. And like I said, you know, I mean, with people probably seeing this and not seeing the chaos, which is an art studio, but we've got a massive canvas, which literally is a barrier in front of us because it was, you know, it's taken up my whole studio. So it's really weird interview to be interviewed literally side by side. And I think it's worked out quite well, really.
It has, isn't it? It's been a different one. Yeah, it's been funny. But yeah, no, as I say, I'm excited to see what you get up to next. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
That's great, mate. Thank you so much.
No, it's been a pleasure, man. Nice one. I'll catch you soon. Part 2. Oh, welcome to part 2, mate. Welcome. Yeah, I'm quite excited for this. So, cool, in part 2, what we do is I go out into the streets. I went out to the streets of Portsmouth around Guildhall, and we asked the question. And you're about to find out that question. So
oh, okay. All right. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So, cool. I'll play the video.
So you already done it?
Already done it?
Oh, you already done it? Oh, my God.
Yes, I'll play it up the video. Do you think more can be done for blind people? And if so, what?
I mean, I suppose so, because you don't see many things to do with assisting blind people when it comes to, I know, inside buildings, like the university buildings. There's not much to do with, like, Braille and support with blind students. But I suppose, I'm not too sure if the university buildings have many blind students anyways, but I guess the...
So yeah, feel free to stop at any time.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, we were at an event last night, and we were asking this to Connor and stuff, and he said there's not many blind students uptake in Portsmouth, which is very sad, really. It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
Yeah, but I know I've had some horror stories where students go to university and they think they get the support that they need, and then I've had so this is a story up in Liverpool. Yeah. She took a guide dog into a lecture. The lecturer said, "You can get that filthy animal out of here right now," and that's a lecturer. Wow. So if you've got that, still got a stigma, I mean, it just really rolls me today that that attitude still exists in establishments that's supposed to be for everyone.
That's terrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't know that. That's
Yeah, I mean, there's so many horror stories. It really. I mean, I know someone got kicked off a bus, right, because they didn't think that their dog was a guide dog because it was a black Labrador. Wow. So the misconception is that a guide dog is a golden retriever, a golden Labrador. It's not. A guide dog can be a Labradoodle, a Labrapoodle. It can be any colour it wants. Alsatian, because they were the originals.
Yeah.
The big misconception again is that.
Wow. I mean, at universities, I don't know, but I guess it would be helpful if they had on a register, like, everyone's, I guess, you know, the blind, for example, or, you know, deaf, for example. Like,
yeah, I think that they have to have, you know, the idea of, again, that's this tick box exercise. We have a tick box exercise for the art world. The idea is disability, you know, to keep their funding, and in a way they do have to kind of tick box exercise to get that funding. Yeah. But then after that, there is no support, not support from the majority. You know, we are still so behind compared to other countries in the world. Everyone thinks that England is like, well, the UK is so great with disabilities. We're not. You know, and it's not just me speaking out. You can speak to any disability organisation. You know, RBC, the one for the children, right? On their website, they're literally children are being left behind because there's no Braille or thingy in schools for young children. Horrendous. And then, we're talking about this in the 21st century. Yeah. This should not be talked about.
No, that is terrible. Well, yeah, hopefully something can change soon. So
yeah, no, that's a great thing. Yeah,
interesting. All right, so cool. Let the video continue.
It should be in place anyway.
So, do you think there could be more done for blind people, and if so, what?
Definitely, yeah. There's a lot that needs to be done for blind people in Portsmouth. I'm in touch with quite a few disability advisory groups in Portsmouth that say that at the moment Portsmouth's a difficult city for people with vision impairments to get around, and that's sort of like...
Right, so I will contradict that. As a vision impaired person, I've gone up and down the country as part of my job, and Portsmouth is the most accessible city in the UK for a blind person. For simple reason being, right, we have 2 competing bus services when they're not on strike at the moment. And those buses take you near enough 90% of the place you need to go. Near enough 90% of the roads have got the tactile. If I notice that one of those rotating things are broken, I ring up Port City Council. Next day it's fixed. Wow. So for me, I think I don't know who she's speaking to, but for me, I think mean Manchester's the worst city. I mean, there was no way of knowing if I was going to get on a tram line or pavement because they're exactly the same colour. There's no tactile nation, so I was and I'm glad I went there with someone. I would have got killed. So yeah, Portsmouth for me is the most accessible city in the UK.
Amazing. You had it.
Pavements and issues with evenness of pavements, but also public transportation. Just a lack of connectivity as well across the transport network for people with vision impairments. And I've heard that Portsmouth is quite bad on that front compared to other cities. So it's definitely something that I work with local residents to try and improve, because in a sort of modern city where we're especially trying to encourage people to not drive and to use public transportation, we've got to make it accessible to more people. So it's really important.
Do you think more can be done for blind people?
Yeah, definitely.
How? What do you mean? What?
I don't know. Maybe like handrails and stuff.
Do you think there could be more done for blind people?
Yeah.
That's a very good question.
I mean, it's a very vague question, I think.
How so? Go on, you can explain.
Because there's a lot of things, I guess. Like
in your
terms
opinion?
Yeah, I think so.
What are some of the main things that you would change for blind people then?
Maybe like transport. Like, I feel like transport can be quite difficult. Making their way there without somebody to help them.
Especially since...
So this is misconception. You're speaking to people with probably they don't know really blind people, right? And they think that as a blind person, I can't get up and on and off a bus. As a blind person, I can't get up and down the stairs. That's the misconception of blindness. They think we're literally, oh my God, I can't see anywhere. What do I do? Kind of thing. We learn. We learn our routes, right? We have a white cane. No one gives us that white cane. No one says, I'm trained on that for 10 hours before I'm kind of handing my license over, if that makes sense. So we are taught things, so that's the misconception that people, as a blind person and all their disabilities around that we have, that, it's the worst one because you can't see where you're going, right? We have a brain. I've not lost my common sense because I've lost my sight. So that's a really interesting. She probably doesn't know any blind people.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
With transport specifically, there's so many cancellations and strikes. They're making it even harder for these people to just get around and do their daily tasks.
Yeah, right. Do you think more can be done for blind people? And if so, what?
Probably yes. Things are definitely better here in terms of how the pavements are set up and things like that. I come from Greece, and it's a whole different world there, basically. And people with special needs are left to their own devices. Here I know even for the bus, for example, you can hear sometimes the announce, the stops and stuff like that. So this is the kind of things that should be constant for everybody, basically. So public transport and people in general should be educated, even from school age perhaps, on how to treat not only deaf people, but even people with hearing difficulties.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing he said, it all stems down to education and, changing that generation so people aren't having that question. You don't even ask them that question in 10 years' time, because that generation we're talking about in schools, know what blindness is, know what deafness is, know what cerebral palsy is, and we're all the same. I hate the word disability. I'm not disabled. I'm blind. I'm proudly blind. I'm not disabled. But other organisations like to hold the word disability. I'm not one of those people. But everyone's for themselves. But yeah, that's a really good point he's made.
Interesting. Or anything like that.
Do you think more can be done for blind people?
Yes. Yeah.
What?
That is a question I don't know. I don't know. I just think there should be, but I'm not too sure what.
Do you know what's already in place for blind people?
I should, because my mum is like she's half blind, so I should, but not really.
Do you think more can be done in the city for blind people?
I feel like more of those pavements where it has like the little lines on it, where like they have their like little ball stick thing. I feel like a few more of those or something. Okay. But yeah, I haven't really thought about it. Not really. No.
So I know what he's saying about there. So again, people don't know this. So dual pavement, like when you have you've got a cycling pavement and a walking pavement.
Yes.
Right. Have you noticed why there's the horizontal and vertical?
Is it to like basically signify that there's a crossing?
No, it's to signify, right? When if I cross it and I know that bit there, I know it's a dual, so I have to stay on the horizontal while the bike's down the vertical lines. So next time you go to one of those dual thingies, that's what he said about the line stuff, right? It's only there for dual pavements.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
No.
Alright, yeah, alright. Well, yeah, that's interesting. Any other thoughts?
Not really.
I don't think so. No. I haven't really thought about it.
Alright. Do you think there can be more done for blind people?
So I have a very strong prescription.
Okay.
And it's peak, but I think in terms of this country, in the development of Braille, in our books, for example, in the accessibility, guide dogs, I think it's very accommodating in that sense.
Don't film me. Don't you?
But again, I think in terms of more worldwide accessibility, I think yes, there could definitely more to do with the Braille, all of this, and education system as well.
All right.
Yeah, great. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
it would be interesting. Tell you what, would be interesting to do that again with me by your side. Yeah, just because because then I would have a conversation with complete strangers about the sight loss, because some of them think they know, but they don't, because they probably don't know anyone who's blind. They don't know what blindness is. They just think, you can't get from A to B because you can't see. We can get from A to B. It's all about we've obviously got technology, we've got a white cane training. But if I was lost like you, if you was lost somewhere, you'd ask someone.
Yeah.
Right? I would not the ability to kind of like open my mouth and say, excuse me, I'm looking for so and so address. It's not stupid, is it?
No, it's not. I don't think it is. No, it is just common sense.
It's just common sense. Well, it is common sense. But I'm blind. I've lost the ability to like think for myself.
That's interesting. Well, yeah, no. Any closing thoughts then?
Mate, this has been amazing, and I loved that. I wasn't expecting this. I thought you was going to do the interview now, and then you'll do that, and then you mash the two together. But it's really cool for me to hear people's complete strangers' views on sight loss, and I like. And again, with what we talked about here, it's strange that we're still talking about what is sight loss. Yeah. It's 21st century. What is sight loss? And you've had a great discussion with me. A blind artist can break down those barriers, because it's what I do is. It's an oxymoron, isn't it? A blind visual artist. It doesn't work. It shouldn't work, but it does.
Yeah, inspirational, amazing.
There you go. I loved it. It's great.
Well, pleasant, and Clarke, looking forward. Or Mr. Dot, I'm looking forward to see what happens next.
Brilliant, man.
Happy days, man. Legend.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was really, really good.